Hello. Oh, let's try that again. Hello. Oh, much better. I am so excited to be here. How many of you stress out over taking tests? How about stress out because you got way too much homework? Okay, and how many of you would like to say, do about half the amount of homework, half the amount of time studying, and get better grades? Both hands? Okay. This section is so great. It's called trigger taking. You know when you take notes, and a lot of times you'll be taking notes and listening, and you're writing them down, and then all of a sudden you're not listening to what the speaker's saying anymore? Well, it happens to all of us. Or you're nudging the person next to you and say, what did they just say? I missed it. And then you miss writing that down, and you miss what they're saying at the same time. You know how confusing all of that is? Well, this is the way to prevent that. It's called trigger taking instead of note taking. And what you do is you put the title of the lecture at the top of your page. You split your page in 3 different sections. You've got your main points, your subtopics, and your details. So you've got the title up here of the lecture. Then you say the first main point. Let's say it was The Wizard of Oz. The first main point here may be something like Toto was kidnapped. Okay, so then we go on to the subtopics with lines. What happens after Toto's kidnapped? Then he escapes. The neighbor lady kidnapped him. Those are some more subtopics. Then we talk a little bit more about the neighbor lady. Oh, she was bad. She becomes nasty, and Toto gets back home safely. That type of thing. So what you're doing is you're starting with the main points. Every time the speaker says something that's important, that's a main point, you write that in this column. Then when something kind of comes off that main point that's important, but it supports the main point, you connect it with lines and put it in the subtopic column. And then you do the same thing with the details. When you got a detail about one of those subtopics, you want to put a line to that to reinforce those. So now you've just got one sheet of paper, you've got some trigger words. Now after you leave the class, you need to go over all those trigger words to make sure that you remember what they mean. Sometimes you can even give yourself an abbreviation. Let's say you have a word that's consistently repeated throughout it. You can create your own shorthand. Like for Toto in The Wizard of Oz, we could just make it T for the rest of the whole time. And the witch, we could just make the witch. The Wicked Witch of the West could be WW. So you're shortening and creating the shorthand as you're going. So you're really just putting little triggers on to remind you of what it is you're listening to. That way, you can actually focus and listen to the speaker instead of putting all your energy and focus on what you're constantly writing. It'll be faster and quicker and more effective than any note-taking you've ever taken before. I'm going to show you how to read a textbook so quickly in 4 easy steps. First, the first thing you do is you turn to the chapter and you look at the title and you ask yourself, what is that title and what does it mean to me? Think about that title. Think about what that whole chapter is going to be about. So you emotionally become connected to it. Put some thought in your mind so now you can associate as you go through the chapter. Now, I want you to look at every single page this quickly, just this fast. I want you to whip through every page until you get to the very end of the chapter. Then when you're at the end of the chapter, I want you to read the summary. And then I want you to go and answer all the questions at the end of the chapter. Now, why would I have you do this? Why would I have you go through it so fast, first of all? Why would I have you flip the pages so fast? Because your subconscious mind is picking up all that information, and you're starting to get familiar with what that chapter thinks is important, where the charts are, where the graphs are, where the pictures are. Then you get to the end, and the summary summarizes the whole chapter. So now you got an idea what the chapter's about before you even started reading. Now you go to the questions. Now you know all the key points that the author and probably the teacher wants you to know about this chapter before you even started reading it. So now when you go back to the next step, you're going to be in like a streamlined process. And you're going to go, okay, I'm like a detective now. Now I can start looking for those important answers in those questions. So now we go back into the second step, and we do the same exact thing. But this time, as you're looking through the pages, you stop at subtopics like pictures and read underneath the pictures. Or things that are in boxes. Like here, if it's in a box, you read under the box. Or if it's a map. or if it's a chart, or if it's a graph, then you stop and you read that map, you read that chart, you read that graph. And now by the time you get to the very end and do the questions again, now you know over half the questions, because either the answers have been in that summary or the answers have been in those charts, graphs, maps, and all those things that are put in boxes. The important things are highlighted. So now you've got almost all the questions done. Now we're already on to step 3. You go back again, and we have you look through every page again, because your subconscious mind is picking up everything, remember. And you go through this time, and you look for details, things in big, large print, things that are bolded, things that are italicized, and things that are like proper nouns, people's names, places' names. Those are important. And you read the sentence around those proper names, those bolded names, and kind of get an idea of what is it they're talking about. Who is this important person? What is this important place? Then you get to the end again, and you go through the questions. By this time, you should have 80 to 90% of those questions all right before you've even read it. Then the very last step is, guess what? The last step is you read it. But you're going to read it so fast because you're so familiar with the material. As you go through, you go, oh, I've already read this. I understand it. That's right. I already answered that question. Oh, I know what this is talking about. So you can like skim through. So you're reading that much faster. Go out there and tackle a textbook. You can do it. Next, how to tackle a term paper. Oh my gosh, you know when you got a term paper, what a drag that is. You're thinking hundreds of hours this is going to take. Well, let me tell you, I've worked with hundreds of teachers myself, and I have found out teacher secrets on how to tackle a term paper in a few easy steps. This is really going to cut down your time. The first one is, let's say you've got tons and tons of research you've got to do. Why do it yourself when you can call the reference librarian at the library and have her find that information for you, gather those books of information for you. Sometimes she can even tell you the different sections to look in on the topic that you're interested in. So use your resources. If it happens to be a historical event that's in the last 40, 50, 60 years, ask relatives, people you know, get their insight, get their knowledge. It's a lot easier than having to find it yourself. Another way is to really organize yourself is set up a system on a piece of paper. When you're gathering all that information, it's all sitting on the floor, make a little chart. The first one is, what is the topic? On the environment, okay? Let's say the topic is on the environment. Maybe one of the subtopics is some of the greatest technology that's coming in to save our environment. And maybe here, one of the subtopics is the polluters. Who's polluting our environment? And then all the details are all the different polluters, okay? So what you're doing here is you're just using a topic, then the major subtopics you're putting off, and then you've got the details under each of those so that you can look at the whole big picture again, see what it's about, see what the major points are, and then all the details that fit under those major points. Not so hard, huh? Now here's the last little trick, and this is a good one. This really saves time. And it's just in how it looks. You know, when you meet people for the first time, you make judgments on how they look. Same thing with teachers when they see a paper. Watch this. Okay, first term paper. This is that fast, last minute, just don't want to flunk, right? We kind of threw this together. This is our paper on the environment. Oh my gosh, you look at that, the teacher hasn't even read it, it might be great material. And the teacher's already looking at it going C to D to F at best, okay? Then we go to the second one. Now we got a title, Beyond Quality by John Mason, right on the front. Wonderful, this could be good. She opens it up and sees, oh, you know, there's all these scattered pages. And then she drops them. Maybe she gets them all mixed up. And it looks pretty good, but boy, it's not as quite as well thought out, you know. But at least it's typed. And that's a step up, too. Now, let's go on to the next one. See if we're getting any better. And you make decisions, too. As you're watching this, think, if I just looked at that, what grade would I give them? Because the teachers do think the same way. Okay, this one, John Mason, Science 101, right away. Okay, nice book. Lit. And as we turn this one, we see it really well. Got some bold headings. Things are bulleted here. This is good. Okay, not bad. If this has great information, this could be a high BP paper just looking at it, not even checking the information because it looks well organized. Now, we're coming to the ultimate term paper. Now, this one, we put a little art in there. Look at that. We got Miss Thompson Science 101. Cool. Written by John Mason, the star. Open it up. Beyond quality. Well thought out. Now, not only is this well put together, but even highlighted in colors some of the major points and added some maps, color into it. Even added some more maps and highlighted some important information so that the teacher doesn't have to read the whole thing to understand what they're referring to. And see, even here, again, we've got two different colors highlighting it. Ah, financial highlights right at the back in charts, colorful. It looks well thought out. This, before they even read it, they go, oh, a paper. Can't you see? Before he even starts, so much is in the presentation. If it's easy and simple for the teacher to read, if it's typed, easy to read, well organized, that teacher right away is going to get excited because the teacher's got sometimes 30, sometimes 30 times 5 classes, 150 of these to read. And when the teacher looks at this versus this, who do you think would get the A? Now go, tackle your term paper. You have the ability to believe in yourself. You have that same ability, no matter what anyone has told you. Believe in your dreams, believe in yourself, and start changing that programming inside your hard drive that says, I can do it, I can achieve. Start to believe in yourself, and you'll see amazing success happen in your life. I have had such a great time in this tape series. I hope you've had as much fun as I have. Any time that you need to review, just put in that tape and review it. And any time that you doubt yourself and you don't believe that you can do something, come back to this series because I believe in you. And I know there's nothing you can't do if you learn to believe in yourself and you have the confidence to achieve things in your life based on the way that you do it, the way that you learn, which may be different than everybody else. Trust your intuition. Trust the way you do things best. And tell me about your success stories. Tell me about the things that are working for you. That's the most exciting thing for me when I receive a fax or an email or a letter or a telephone call telling me how maybe this series may have made a difference in your life.
I can do it. You can do it.